25. Come on. Inside the 10. Head first. He dives inside the 5-yard line.
Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground and still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Davis gets maintained to McCaffrey with a 19-yard reception. But Terrell again for at least 19 and more than that. Inside the 10, touchdown Denver. All week long, Marty Schottenheimer talked to his...
Manning out of the gun. Manning lets it fly. It's caught by Thomas. There's the record for Peyton Manning.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. I am Mundungus Creevy, joined today by my co-host, Mr. Boggins, the 6'10", and our special guest host, Mr. Bronco Bill. How we doing, Bronco Bill?
Woo! Doing great, guys. Thanks a lot for the invite. Appreciate it.
Now, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on notifications so that you can get alerted anytime we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Also, tune into all of our other podcasts. Broncos Talk every Tuesday at 7654. The MHRT Podcast, which is this one right here, every Thursday at 7654. The Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue Podcast every Friday at 7654. And don't forget our brand new podcast. Well, I guess not brand new. Brand new this season podcast, which is the pregame show, The Neighborhood, that airs about an hour and a half before every Broncos game. So how's everybody doing? How is everybody's Christmas?
Can we reply to Dave Glassman? That's not Glenn? Is that a question?
Hold on, I haven't got there. I haven't got there.
Is that that's not Glenn?
It's not about the same age. No, Glenn is at his daughter's hockey game. So I'm trying to remember which one. Zoe.
Which hockey?
No, which daughter? I think it's Zoe.
Okay.
I think. Cool. Maybe. So go play hockey.
Go that team.
Go that team.
Go that team.
Right. Wow. Okay.
Christmas was good. Except for the fiance getting COVID. That was rough. So actually it wasn't great because we had to just isolate and not see anybody during the holidays. I don't know. You know how just naturally people say
it was great, but it was
terrible when they're not, like how, because you just don't want to like go deeper into conversation with people sometimes. I mean,
that's when you just do like the low wonderful.
Yeah. Just like yeah. Wasn't good.
It was fantastic. Oh, Jimmy. All right. So, I think we were all expecting a different result to that Raiders game on Sunday. Did not work out that way.
Mm-hmm.
That was disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the second half defense. They couldn't stop the run at all. They couldn't do anything.
Well, I want to know what happened at halftime. I mean, you go in at halftime leading 13-7. You had a phenomenal play by Bradley Chubb, who makes this interception, almost scores. We get the touchdown from Williams. We go in the locker room. You think they'd come out pumped up, fired up, and energized. They came out flat as a pancake. I don't understand what the deal is.
Yeah.
How do you adjust and get worse?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't want to say that the team has given up on Fangio, but it just feels like there was like lack of energy coming into the second half, just like kind of like a whatever mentality, and it just like they could not stop the run to save their lives. And like Josh Jacobs is, I don't want to say past his prime because it's like he's like
24.
He's like third year, and it's like his first and second year. He's like whoa, and it's like Bell after DUI. So like it's not been great for him, but like we made him look really good, just like we made Johnson look really good playing the Browns as well. So I don't know. Our run defense has been very suspect and inconsistent.
Hey, that grandfather clock was creepy a little bit.
Yeah.
I heard it. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
Well, I thought I turned it off.
I thought I died.
I thought it was cool.
Biggie Bronco says that's what you call an offensive coordinator putting handcuffs on the quarterback. I could go with that. I never thought the Lock should start over Bridgewater. I've always been on the Bridgewater train, I guess. I don't know.
Mhm.
I did not have a problem with how Lock played. I wouldn't say it was inspiring. I mean, he didn't do anything to have us win the game, but he didn't do anything to have us lose the game either. It's like I told you guys before we started the show. He played pretty much the same as Bridgewater would if he was in there. I mean, he had a couple throws that I don't think Bridgewater would have made, but he didn't complete them anyways. So I don't know if Bridgewater being in there would have made any difference.
I mean, he threw for 158 yards, so it's not like he did anything. No touchdowns. I mean, but also didn't throw any interceptions. So it's not like,
the bells are sounding for the purge.
Yeah, it wasn't a special performance and wasn't a bad performance. It was just like it was very Bridgewater. It was just whatever. But I think people have such there's like a weird juxtaposition of people that have really low standards for Lock and some that have like really high standards for Lock, and some people are like, oh, he did so good, and like PFF putting out like the one of the best QBRs or whatever for Drew Lock ever, or no, it was a PFF ranking, the best PFF ranking for Drew Lock ever, and it's just like, I mean, I get that he didn't have as many, he had a great percentage, and there were the misses were drops, but like at a certain point, you're just kind of like, come on, like how is his number barely under Joe Burrow, who threw over 500 yards? This like it's not really the same.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't look past, you look at last year's offensive line. Drew Lock had no time to throw the ball. And the Raiders game, we had Miners at center, Moody was at guard, and was that it? Just those two? Who's it? No, Massey was out too, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who was right tackle
for this last game?
Yeah,
wasn't it Fleming?
I thought Massey was in. Did he play?
Massey played.
Yeah, it was just the center and right guard, right?
Yeah.
Because like our offensive line was terrible. Like Quinn Miners at center, no, thank you.
Well,
he did not play well.
It was Schlotman at center.
Was it?
Yeah.
Whoever was, I thought it was Miners. So did Miners not play?
No. Miners played. Miners played
right.
He was right guard. Okay.
Right guard.
I like the pass rush up the middle. Whoever was playing center was
getting ripped.
Terrible. It was not good. But at the same time, and this is a conversation we kind of had, I'm not blaming Locke for anything, but you kind of wonder, with this game being the worst game for wide receiver drops, is it because the receivers are used to catching the ball from Teddy, who doesn't throw it as hard, and that's why they were dropping it, because they just weren't used to it? I don't know. That's just a question that I have. No. Can it flip on and off like that?
No.
Because I just don't know why they struggled so much in this game to catch the ball.
I mean, stuff like that happens, and it really sucks because it happened to the two guys you just signed two really big contracts. So to see them drop, I think the worst drop though came from Albert O. I think that was the worst one of the night. I mean, it hit him right in the hands. It should have been reeled in and caught, and maybe even a touchdown if he was able to get his balance. But I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of wide receivers around the league are doing is they're doing this thing where they're kind of trying to see who's in front of them, looking in front of them instead of making the catch first. So it's not just the Broncos wide receivers with this issue. It's an issue that's been plaguing a lot of wide receivers all season. And while I get the intention, it's kind of like you need to work on ball security. You need to have to make sure you have the ball before you can start planning, your route to run. I know it sucks getting hit, especially not
shots fired.
Yeah, especially not being able, kind of blindsided, but it's the risk you take when you play this game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Carolyn Brack says, "Can we make the playoffs?" We got like a what, 0.01% or 0.1%?
Yeah.
No, I think we had to. I think, in my opinion, we had to beat the Raiders, we had to beat the Browns, and we had to beat the Bengals, and we had all three of those games. Yeah. We had a chance to win, and we just didn't. And to me, that's play calling. That's play calling. It's in execution. Yeah, but if you have a play that comes in, and obviously you run that play, and the defense, you don't counter what the defense is doing. That's the result, and that's why we're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, we have to basically have 8 teams in front of us lose.
Yeah,
and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it's technically possible, but it's not like the likelihood is very, very, very unlikely.
Wasn't there like a big list of teams that would have to lose this week, and then a big list that would have to lose next week?
Yes.
So basically, we would need to tie with the Raiders and the Chargers, but that doesn't make any sense because if we tie with the Raiders will go above the Broncos anyways, right?
Yeah, because they own the tiebreaker. So right now, I mean, it's still kind of weird being able to say that there's a Week 18 game against the Chiefs. That's something that's going to take a little getting used to. But at least the Broncos can go into this game with a little motivation, whereas most teams, as soon as they hear, that they're eliminated from playoff contention, then, staff and players alike, they kind of start to get lazy, and they start having this mentality where they feel they don't have to try because, they don't want to get hurt, or, they're already thinking about the off season or where they're going to go on vacation and whatnot. And, I don't blame them for that. But at the same time, they're getting paid to play an entire season, not just up until you get hurt, So unfortunately, COVID has came back around and has made things a lot more difficult for teams all around the league, and the Broncos are no different. So both of these teams are going into this game really, really banged up.
Well, the Chargers need it more than Denver, obviously, as far as playoff possibilities. Denver can be the spoiler. I hope that's what happens. I hope they come out and I hope they play hard, being a division game, and also knocking out the Chargers, or at least hurting their chances. I'm not real convinced that that's going to happen given the lineup that we have going. But on any given Sunday, just look at last week. Just ask Houston. 41-29. That was pretty impressive. So anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I was trying to find that list of who. There's a big list of people that got to lose in order, and we have to win out. Which honestly, if you're looking at that list, like the most unlikely one to win out is us. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you also got to look at like the Chargers when they lost to the Texans last week. They were out a bunch of people, and we are like the Chargers of last week now. Like we have a bunch of players on COVID list or injured, and so now we're going into this like hoping not to be the Chargers of last week, essentially, but it's going to be a tough game to win for sure.
So there's 2 points that I wanted to bring up, and this goes with the coaching side of it. Tim Jenkins had reviewed that Alberto overthrow over on the right sideline. And he broke down the play, showed where everyone was supposed to run, and basically what it came down to was it was a good play. It was a good play call. They were just coached to do it wrong. Like there were points where they broke off the route too early, or they took the wrong angle, whatever it may be. But the throw was where it was supposed to be. The receiver just wasn't where he was supposed to be. Took a wrong angle on it, let his safety go free. And so at that point you wonder, like, while we think that Shurmur's terrible at play calling, like the fact that the coaching is being, like the entire coaching, that's like the wide receiver coach, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, that's coaching in general. Like, how can you even fathom going into next year with the same head coach you have this year when you're calling into question, like you're not even coaching them to take the right angle?
Yeah. And that's one of those questions where you're like, how much of it is Shurmur? How much of it is Zach Hazzani? Because you could watch sometimes, like obviously Locke has not been perfect, but you can watch some of Locke's reactions after a miss like that, where he's literally telling Sutton, like, you need to like angle up more. You need to, and it's like he is aware of it, but Sutton is not. So you're not sure if like the receivers coach is just not coaching this up as much as he should be, or if it's like a full offense thing where Shurmur is just not making sure that Hazzani is coaching this up as much as he should be. So this is why I firmly believe that we need to just like clean house essentially,
Yeah.
except for the
Munchak.
offensive and defensive line coaches, Munchak and
And you
Kolar.
said Munchak and Kolar, right?
Yeah.
Well, and then there was the interview that Shannon Sharp did where he was talking about what they would do when he was playing with the Broncos, and he's like, there were a lot of times where it was like a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and they'd call a 4-yard play, and Ed McCaffrey or Shannon Sharp or Rod Smith would come in and be like, "Hey, John, I know it's a 4-yard play call, but I'm going to add an extra 4 yards, just so you know. So hit me at the first down marker." And it just seems like they're being coached to follow specifically the playbook and nothing else.
And that's why it's not working. That's absolutely why it's not working, because it's vanilla. I mean, when the defense knows what you're going to do, you might as well just hand them the playbook, because that's exactly what they're doing. It doesn't work.
Absolutely.
That's why we have to make changes. Whole house changes, top down.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these routes that are presented are like Shurmur was talking about in the presser today, where he's like, well, some of those, the defense adjusts and they know where the sticks are, and so they adjust for that. But that's why you move stuff around. You get things in motion.
Jet sweep.
Yeah, you jet sweep. Actually give it to actually use Jerry Jeudy. That's why you get things in motion. That's why you try and move things around. Hit players in stride. Like you scheme up these things to be able to get that. If you don't think you're going to be able to hit like a Hank or an out on the at the sticks, then get him, move him, get him burning these linebackers, like you mismatches, things that Shurmur just doesn't do. It's just like,
well, it's like you can't continue to use motion as a decoy. Like, it doesn't work. If you're going to use motion, use motion for something.
You have to give the ball to the player that you're motioning at least once every 100 motions.
Oh, let's see here. Glenn chimed in and said, 0.1% chance of playoffs. To quote Lloyd, so you're telling me there's a chance. I said, hey, Glenn, which daughter and what's the team called? That's what we want to know. I'm pretty sure I got it wrong, and we were just cheering for that team.
I would forever root for that team.
Yeah, they have my support.
I'm a lifetime member.
Biggie Bronco, you got to overlook some of the misspellings on my phone because I have Parkinson's, and I talked into my phone. It just puts what it wants sometimes. Right?
Well,
talk to text.
Yeah,
I hate talk to text.
I'll tell you right now, I don't have Parkinson's, and I still have that problem. So
Fat thumbs.
I just can't spell.
Likewise.
So you guys who knows?
Fat thumbs. So do we think after this Raiders game, and obviously I don't think that the results of the next two games are really going to matter. But do we think that Fangio, Shurmur, and McMahon are gone? If not, everybody.
After the season, yes.
I think they should have been gone earlier.
No.
Emma. Oh, I said it was the other one. Emma. Okay, Emma's the one playing hockey.
Yeah. New
I'm
Hampshire.
not a big fan of in like, unless it's a Urban Meyer situation where he is just like a toxic situation. I don't see how firing a coach mid-season or like during the season is helpful, because your scheme's not going to change. You're not going to redo the whole entire scheme and have someone else go, like whoever, like if Munchak is going to pull up or, Schuler or whatever, like they're not going to be like, oh, I had this scheme that I had like ready to go. Let's do this. Like, that's just not necessarily going to happen. And so I don't think you're going to be changing that much, and you might as well let the coaches run it out. And especially when we've been, like, we were on the verge for a while. Like, had potential in December to make the playoffs, essentially. And so, like, you're not going to just chop your coach when you technically still have a chance to make the playoffs, unless it's at 0.1%. Then you can,
Yeah.
But, like,
Tell me there's a chance.
but you have to,
That
at this
was
point,
true.
you have 2 games left. You're just like, why? Run it out.
Yeah.
And then.
Now, if you're talking about the yelling kids in the background, probably my house. I have 6 of those little punks running around, so it's probably mine.
13, and you have. 13.
If you're talking about the grandfather clock, that's Bill's. If you're talking about dogs, that's Boggins.
Probably.
And if you're talking about parents asking questions, that's Adon's.
That's me. In the middle of the screen.
Shirtless
Yeah.
dads
That's
coming in.
shirtless dad walking around the basement.
Yeah.
So specify which one you mean.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, you're
So we all got
recording?
things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so going into kind of the kids. Yeah, that's mine. Going into the continuing with coaches, the head coach search has started. Jacksonville has already started setting up interviews for head coaching candidates. And people are wondering why we have not let coaches go so that we can start the interview process. I
Because
don't
those
think
coaches
that
are
it
still
benefits
doing their jobs.
right, and I don't think it benefits the Broncos in any way right now to let any coach go.
No.
I mean, you got so Jacksonville, boy, they got interviews with everybody. I know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Kellen Moore, Byron Leftwich, Kellen Moore.
Mhm.
They tried for Dan Quinn and he said no. It's funny. There's so many more.
And all these teams are going to be in the playoffs soon. So it's not like they're going to be like all you can get is a video conference call. Essentially, they're not going to leave and go so it's not going to. You're not really going to be able to make. I mean, you could. I mean, you're the Jaguars and you have a complete vacancy. You might reach for it early, but like I don't see how you can. You're just trying to get your foot in the door early to interview these guys. But I mean, each team is. I mean, these guys aren't going to be like, you know what, the Jags. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like
I'm good.
when they know that there's others on the horizon that they will interview for after they're done currently doing their job.
Now, and this is kind of that right there. See,
That wasn't mine.
Was that whose was that?
That was my dog.
Jeez. So, and this kind of relates to the Broncos, but what other teams do we see needing a head coach next season? I mean, as of now, other than maybe the Bears, I'm not really seeing anyone that's probably going to be fired.
Maybe
Jags is already looking. See, and I heard that Culley was going to stay.
Maybe. I mean, it is only his first year, and he's had some random wins. So, yeah, sure. I mean, that place is just a crapshoot. But, yeah.
How about the Raiders?
I don't.
Coach?
Oh, yeah. Raiders.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Raiders.
Maybe Vikings. Seeing if like Zimmer
You think
might
so?
be on the way. Maybe. What if we got Zimmer? It's because the Vikings tie.
Mike Zimmer.
So then my question is there any other team out there potentially looking for a head coach that is more of a draw than the Broncos?
That's not making the playoffs?
Well, if you're making the playoffs, why are you looking for a new coach?
True.
Well, just want to make sure.
Any team that we
Seahawks,
think is
maybe?
going to be looking for a head coach.
Well,
is there any other team? Well, but even the Seahawks are kind of in rebuild mode.
No. I mean, like, as far as
but I
maybe
don't think they're
looking
going to
for a new
fire
head
Pete
coach.
Carroll.
Depending
I think
on
Russell
Right.
Wilson leaves before Pete Carroll does.
Right. No,
Maybe.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, and so any team out there that's potentially looking for a head coach, is there any team that is more attractive to a head coach candidate than the Broncos?
I say no.
And obviously,
don't
blue and orange colored glasses. I'm just saying.
Right.
No, legitimately, I don't think so. I think if the Vikings would be interesting, depending on if they keep Kirk Cousins, and if Zimmer
Which
goes.
I
But I
think they
think
will.
besides that, I don't think. Yeah, I think Broncos would be number one. Yeah.
I will, but those are not grandbabies. Those are my babies. I'm not old enough for grandbabies yet.
No, but I think if you put top three, Denver would be one, Chicago would be two, and Seattle would
Really?
be. Yeah, I think Chicago would be two because they have a good defense.
They-
Their offense is just not good.
I also really like the stupid rumblings of Kyle Shanahan. I like him maybe losing his job. Man, if Kyle Shanahan lost his job, we
Jimmy
would be. I
Garoppolo
feel
to
like
Denver.
we would be on that so quick.
I mean, like I could see it because I mean he's had what, 2 good seasons, 1 good season. Other than that, it's been
he's dealt with a ton of injuries and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, no, I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just saying. I mean, I could see it. Do I think he'll get let go? No.
Imagine Shanahan's system with our running backs. Oh, yeah.
I mean, this has got to be one of the lower years for coaching hires, potentially. I mean, because we're looking at 4 teams, maybe 5.
Maybe. We'll see. I mean, sometimes there's some surprise ones. You never know. McCarthy saved himself going into the playoffs.
Dan Quinn saved Mike McCarthy. Let's just get that straight.
Yeah, Dan Quinn saved Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
Although you can
Dak,
And as much as it sucks, like Micah Parsons kind of saved.
No, I mean they're good, but I'm
McCarthy
saying
too.
The scheme that Dan Quinn runs. See, his job as a defensive coordinator is what really where he shines. When he was a head coach in Atlanta, aside from that Super Bowl run where they went against the Patriots, that's probably like the only highlight of his career. He was one of the head coaches where he got fired. 2
He went
years
to
ago?
2 Super Bowls.
He went to 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
he went to
he went with the
Seahawks.
He went to 3 altogether, but went 2 to the Seahawks.
Yeah, 2 with
Yeah.
the Seahawks. Yeah, so he only won
Legion
one
of Boom. That was Dan Quinn.
Yeah, that was it. 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, also Gus Bradley.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think the Falcon stuff was a lot of like roster issues as well. Like he wasn't given what he exactly wanted. And my only worry with Dan Quinn is what it would do to our defense as far as like, don't get me wrong, like Cowboys defense is looking really good. However, our specific personnel on our roster isn't as friendly to a Dan Quinn scheme. And so I'm interested in how that would change. I'm interested.
Well, and that's one of the questions, because we talked about that a little bit earlier. And Bill, same question to you. Does it really matter that much between a 4-3 and a 3-4 if the base of a 3-4 is basically a 4-3?
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. What does matter, though, is if you're in a 3-4 and the defense that you have for that play that the offense is going to run doesn't match up, well, then there's an issue, obviously. But no, in my opinion, a 3-4, I love the fact that you have 4 linebackers. You can bring them from the outside edge. You can disguise a blitz. You can disguise coverage. When you're in a 4-3, it's a little bit harder to do that because then you have to drop somebody out of the line if you're going to, eventually get back to that look of a 3-4. So no, it doesn't matter. In fact, I like both. I like to have a defensive coordinator that has both within the game.
I think the main reason why I asked that is because now, if you go from, and I'm not saying they're going to get Dan Quinn, but if they do, hypothetically, you have to look at, okay, what defensive players that are on the team right now that we love are not going to work with Dan Quinn.
Well, that's
when you get into like Kenny Young, you get into, and even Jonah Griffin, he's only been there for what? Yeah.
Griffith.
I said Griffin, didn't I? Griffith.
Yeah.
That's the first time I got there. Griffith. So Jonah Griffith. At least I got his first name right.
I think you would have to rework that defensive
like Baron
line
Browning, because he'd be adjusting from what he learned his rookie year to then going to his second year.
I think they're both translatable. I think that the defensive line is where you're going to be having to rework some things. You're going to have to get some more big bodies, and then Justin Simmons is going to be more soloed, like a lot more single high stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be some moving around, and you're going to have to make some adjustments for sure. But it's you always get like a little bit of a lag to learning a new scheme, and so it'll be interesting to see how they change. But they did do cover 3 scheme at Alabama, which is Patrick Surtain's alma mater. So I don't think he would be affected much at all.
Okay. And then there's the now debate, because there was a debate between Kenny Young, Josie Jewell, and Alexander Johnson. Now there's a debate between Jonah Griffith, Kenny Young, Josie Jewell, and Alexander Johnson. Because I wouldn't say that Griffith has overwhelmed me with his play, but he's not playing bad. He's played pretty well in the 2 games that he started.
He's played really
so
well.
which one would you rather stick with? Griffith, Young, Johnson, or Jewell? Or which combination of those?
I like Jewell myself.
Okay.
I like him. I like him a lot. I like his gameplay. But then again, like you said, Young comes in and he's played really well. So I would say I like Young and I like Jewell. It's unfortunate that Jewell got hurt, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying Browning and then Young and Jewell?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
at least I'm assuming Browning, right? Browning.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of keeping Jonas Griffith, keep obviously Marion Browning, and then potentially signing one of the other three as well, so that you can kind of rotate and have decent depth there. I like if I had to choose out of the three, I would pick Josie Jewell. But I mean, based on what Albright was saying, they might just try and go young with it, and they may draft a player there. But it also depends on like if Fangio's system is very like Fangio can just place, like Fangio's done very good at just placing linebackers in there and then like off the depth chart and making them look good. So will that transfer over to i.e. Dan Quinn system? I don't know, but I like a lot the way that Jonas Griffith has been playing the last couple weeks. He is just so athletic, and he's man. I like him more than Kenny Young for sure.
They're talking in the background. There it is.
Oh,
his mom was talking in the background. There it is.
I know. Adon's barely moving. What's going on? Are you okay?
I have company upstairs.
Oh, I have company all the time. It's called kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that Randy. I'm going to try Ankar. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. What quarterback in the draft would be best for the Broncos? And this kind of goes into the next topic that people have been talking about, because it was thrown out there that not only should the Broncos go after Aaron Rodgers, but they should also try for Devontae Adams and in turn bring in Nathaniel Hackett as the head coach of the Denver Broncos to entice those two to come to Denver. Any shot at all that happens?
I think you can get 2 out of the 3. I don't think you can get Devontae Adams because Devontae Adams is due for a big contract.
Yeah.
And as much cap space as Denver has, if you had to choose between an Aaron Rodgers and a Devontae Adams, I would say that the Broncos would go all in on.
But would he take a pay cut to play with Rodgers?
I don't even know if he'd have to take a pay cut. I think we could afford it. I just don't necessarily see it happening. I see him going for, especially if they win the Super Bowl. If they win the Super Bowl this year, that changes a lot of things to where he doesn't necessarily after you get the chip, then you can move around for the money. Like that's I mean that's what happens. Yeah. Like things explode after that, and you go.
Everybody becomes valuable.
You get the ring. You're like, all right, cool. Like I have met that goal
for that year,
and so you don't necessarily have to go follow Aaron Rodgers to potentially get that ring at some point down the line.
Well, I have a question. My thought is, how long will we have Rodgers if he does sign with Denver? Let's say, is he a 1 year and done or 2 years and done?
He's 37, so I would say that 38. Thank you. He would probably be here on like a 3-4 year deal, and that's saying a lot because I'm pretty sure that the farther Tom Brady goes in this league, there's gonna be a quarterback somewhere that's gonna try to beat that record. Now, if there's any other quarterback that can play, have that type of mentality and tenacity that Tom Brady has, is a whole different question. But in today's rules, it's not like before where, quarterbacks back in the day, they took so many hits and, they weren't as protected. Whereas now it's like you can't even touch a quarterback damn near without getting flagged. So the more protection the quarterback has, the more they're kind of confident in increasing their longevity in playing this game. So, the sky's the limit. And Aaron Rodgers kind of seems like the guy who, whenever he sees a challenge or, something to be beat, he's willing to go up and beat that challenge. So, hoping he doesn't get injured or whatever, I could say it could be longer than that.
Yeah. Let me think. Let's think realistically here. If we do get Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years, right, on a 2-3 year contract. I mean, we'll have to restructure as soon as we get here because 2023.
Yes, to answer your question, Dave, he can be.
20 and 23 is voided. You have him for a couple years. You have a very young roster right now who will be coming up on a payday in a couple of years. That's why you would bring in someone who could be on a 2-3 year contract because you're at win now mode. Like this is the best case scenario where you have all these young talented players in rookie contracts that you can use to get a Super Bowl essentially and be able to pay Aaron Rodgers, who's like not even that expensive. for the next couple of years. And like we could draft another quarterback and hopefully he sits and grooms behind Rodgers in a perfect world or whatever. But like the goal is to make Super Bowls. Like especially as a GM, you're not like, you do think further out for sure. You try to plan for the future, but at the same time, you're there to win Super Bowls. And if you bring Aaron Rodgers in and you already have this roster with a very cost controlled roster, you're looking great. Like I'll take Aaron Rodgers for 2-3 years. That sounds great.
But we better fix the offensive line if we want to keep him around upright.
We actually have one of the, like Teddy Bridgewater has, or when he was back there, had one of the longest amount of times to throw the ball in the league. So like the line is holding its own. We're like middle of the road. I mean, what can you really ask for? I mean, middle of the road offensive line. And if we get Russell Wilson, he's coming from absolute garbage offensive line. Like he will take that. And Aaron Rodgers is like one of the highest he gets rid of the ball like faster than the majority of the
quarterbacks,
the other quarterbacks in the entire league. When you have an elite quarterback like that, that also elevates your offensive line. Yeah. And so when you have an average offensive line, your offensive line has now become a good offensive line because Aaron Rodgers knows what he's looking at. He knows pre-snap and he can get the ball off quicker. He can adjust.
Yep. Like, who would you rather have, Wilson or Rodgers?
I would rather have Aaron Rodgers.
I have always backed Wilson, and this is why. I will not say no to Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is obviously going to go into the Hall of Fame, probably is one of the top 5 quarterbacks ever. But it makes me nervous to get Aaron Rodgers because you only have maybe 2 to 4 years. We also don't actually know how long Rodgers is going to want to play. I mean, he can go out there and say everything that you want to hear, but that doesn't mean that actually what he's going to do. That's what he's really good at.
If he signs a contract.
Well, I know, but he could be like, no, I'm just going to retire and then be done with it. Like that's his call whenever he wants. I mean, he's already said with the Packers, like, if I need to retire, I'll retire. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
So, you get to that point where it's like, okay, we've got him for 4 years. 2 years in, he retires. We haven't had a first-round pick. Now we don't have a quarterback to back him up. Now what? Now we're back to the post-Manning time.
Well, if he retires, I don't
think the only reason that I'm leaning Wilson over Rodgers is because of that longevity. Like, well, we would have Wilson for 6 instead of 2 to 3. Now, again, if we want to win right now, I'm down for Aaron Rodgers. I have no problem with signing Aaron Rodgers. I just would prefer Wilson over Rodgers because of the potential of, holy crap, we're back in that post-Manning hole again after Rodgers leaves.
And Wilson's
whenever that might be.
And Wilson's he's more athletic. I mean, he moves around, he can run. Rodgers can't. That's what bothers me about the offensive line. If Rodgers can't move and he gets hurt, then what? I mean, obviously, but that's with any quarterback. I get that.
Yeah.
But with Wilson, at least he has mobility, kind of like Bridgewater. And that's one of the reasons why I like Teddy, because he is athletic and he can move.
Well, he did. Bridgewater's not so mobile now.
I honestly think that Aaron
Too soon?
Aaron Rodgers, I think, is quite a bit more mobile than Teddy Bridgewater. Actually, I think Aaron Rodgers is very slept on as a mobile quarterback.
He's known as a mobile. He's known as I can be mobile quarterback.
He's had,
but at the same time, you get into the 40, 41, 42. I mean, Tom Brady's never been a mobile quarterback, but he's really not a mobile quarterback.
Don't compare.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like, the older that you get, the less running you're going to do.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, so far he's looked great. Like, I mean, you can only guesstimate so much, right? I mean, you don't know if Russell Wilson's going to break his leg. I mean, you don't know. So you're going into this like
knock on wood.
I know you're going into this like Aaron Rodgers is the top of the heap, and will he get 3 more years? I don't know, but I feel like the Broncos will look into that and what they feel like he's actually wanting to do, and then they will make a decision.
The only thing that worries me about Russell Wilson is the fact that his adaptability to a new offensive coordinator. Granted, both quarterbacks, if they come to Denver, are going to have a new offensive coordinator. That's not an argument.
Well, and honestly, either quarterback would probably have a say in what offensive coordinator comes to the team.
But this season we saw what happened with Russell Wilson getting a new offensive coordinator. As soon as Seattle let go of their OC at the end of last year, the first thing I said was that's going to hurt the Seahawks because that guy was damn near the reason why Russell Wilson was playing so incredible. And you look at the record now and some of the gameplay and film I see, and I talked to my friend who's a big Seahawks fan, and I said the same thing. I'm like, offensive coordinators, a change of offensive scheme is a big deal. That's why the Seahawks right now are damn near crumbling. And it's going to come down to either the head coach goes, Pete Carroll goes, or Russell Wilson goes. So I do not envy Seahawks management in 2 weeks. So whereas Aaron Rodgers kind of gives you the feeling that, like Mike said, he'll get the call. Maybe he'll have a say in who he wants to bring in a offensive coordinator. And when they come in, it's like, okay, let's see what plays work better with this scheme and that scheme. Not saying Russell Wilson can't do it either, but I'm just saying Aaron Rodgers kind of I think that his adaptability to a new offensive scheme, he would learn it a lot quicker than Russell Wilson can.
Now, Bill, do you see Denver signing a quarterback first and then a head coach, or a head coach first and then the quarterback?
That's a good question.
Because, I mean, you got to think like Wilson, Rodgers, sign them first and then have them give a say in head coach and offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But if you can't get Rodgers or Wilson, you would assume head coach first, right?
Exactly. Because you want the input from the head coach to, and what his scheme is and his game plan and that kind of thing. You want to be able to have a say in which quarterback you get to adapt to that quicker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I say at this point in time, I would look for targeting Rodgers and Wilson right as soon as the season's over. Target them. Obviously, Packers will be in the playoffs, so you got to wait on that. But I would kind of get a feel for what George Payton is looking for, and if he can make inroads with either one of those quarterbacks, then either one of those quarterbacks, if they're really serious about coming to Denver, would at that point in time have a say in the coach. And I think that's key. He's got to start talking to him now, or whenever he can. I know you can talk to the coaches now.
But you can't talk to them if there's someone currently in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. True. Well, that's why I say you need to, at least kind of feel out Rodgers and Wilson and where they're at, and then move forward with the head coach at the end of the season.
Yeah, I like one of the things I think is very interesting is if they hire a defensive-minded head coach, that gives a lot more open opportunity for waiting on Aaron or Russell for that to weed out so that they can have a say in the offensive coordinator. While if you went and got an offensive-minded head coach, you don't know necessarily if Aaron or Russ would be no, to their team, don't send me there, whatever, just not this team. Even if they don't have a trade clause, don't send me there because I don't want to play with that. I want to bring my own guy in. So that's why I think that the Denver Broncos might be actually leaning to, again, a defensive coordinator or a defensive-minded head coach.
Now, do you think that Fangio would stick around as I'm just throwing this out there, guys. I already see you shaking your head. I get that. But
I already know where you're going.
Yeah, we've answered that question a bunch of times on this show, but go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Bill.
No, I was just going to say, would he be willing to step down, so to speak, and be the defensive coordinator? I personally don't see it because the new head coach coming in would always be looking over his shoulder. And so I don't think that would work. I would like it to, because I think Fangio's defense has been really good this year. There's been some down games, obviously, but I think he's done well with the young players like Surtain. I mean, I think he's done great with them.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to go. I don't think Fangio would stay. Maybe Donatel, but I don't even think Donatel. There's another. They were talking about it on DNVR. It was is it a cornerbacks or a DB coach?
No. I promise you none of them will be back. If Fangio gets released from the head coaching position, I promise you none of them will be back. He's going to take his whole team with him, and you can't demote a head coach to defensive coordinator and keep him in the same building for a new head coach to come in. Like that just doesn't work. Right. It creates weird vibes in like the staff, the locker room, just everything. And like no coach is going to do that. And also when he has an ability to just like cut ties and go somewhere else, like he's going to be able to go wherever he wants. As soon as Fangio is let go with the Denver Broncos, I promise you he will have interviews immediately and get a job essentially wherever he wants.
Christian Parker, defensive backs coach.
As defensive That's the one. Coordinator, not head coach.
Yeah, as defensive coordinator. Like if they moved Christian Parker from defensive backs coach to like, because he was, no, he came in with Fangio. But yeah, Christian Parker move up from DB coach up to head coach. I could see that at least because you're going younger, you're going same scheme. But as far as Fangio staying,
it's Fangio's defense. He's doing all the things. Donatello is more of a secondaries coach, and he will be gone, and whoever comes in will bring in his team, unless if it's an offensive coordinator, like if it's a Nathaniel Hackett or something that comes with Aaron Rodgers, then you would be bringing in another DC who would potentially bring in his whole team too. Like that's just how it works. You bring in your whole team and you leave with your team unless
Wade
you get promoted.
Phillips. Yeah, bring him back.
We've had that run before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually excited for this offseason because, I mean, we saw what George Payton did this past offseason, and he got pretty high marks. I mean, the only one you could probably fault him on was the Teddy Bridgewater signing because a lot of people, they weren't really, I wouldn't say on board, but it was more of a head scratcher, especially when we all thought that Drew Lock was going to get another chance following the year he had last year. But with John Elway gone, and more than likely Joe Ellis, the president, gone, it's going to be the George Payton show. And it's the one thing I really like about George Payton is he doesn't sugarcoat anything. I mean, there are still people to this day still salty about the Von Miller trade. And some of them refuse to, cheer for the Broncos or watch a Broncos game or where they're here. Some
are still pissed off about the Phillip Lindsay release.
Yeah, exactly. So it goes way back. So
he's doing so great in Miami.
And that's kind of what we need is we needed a guy who could look at this team without the orange and blue colored glasses. And while we all love the Duke of Denver, John Elway, at some point he was kind of doing that the same thing, and we were always in Elway we trust, and a lot of us didn't question it until it blew up in his face. And
I don't know how you really fault like Peyton at all for the Teddy Bridgewater. Like as a GM, you trust your coaches, and your coaches when the coaches tell you we need they have a guy, like you get him that guy. Like if that's who they felt that they needed, we'll get you Teddy Bridgewater, and then he got him for $3 million. Like.
Yeah,
he got the other team to pay $7 million of his $10 million contract. Like Peyton's a boss, like straight up boss, and he got him. He tried to get Stafford, and then was like, nah, too rich for my blood.
Oh, could you have imagined Matthew Stafford on this Broncos team?
Now with
in Shurmur offense,
forget it,
dude. But again, at the same time. Like Matt Stafford would be one of those guys that would be like, no, I'm not running that. No,
I don't know. About
that.
I don't know.
Yeah, and let's not forget, guys, that this coming draft class, as we said it earlier in the show, is not quarterback heavy. So I don't see George Payton picking up a quarterback in the draft because if he didn't do it with Justin Fields and Mac Jones literally sitting in his lap, I really don't see him going out and getting a first round prospect if Denver still has their first round pick.
So I totally forgot to answer that question earlier. I forgot who it was that asked about who the quarterbacks, who the best fit is for the Denver Broncos. And I would say
asked that question.
It was a while ago. You pulled it up. And the best way I could answer that is it really depends on who you have running your offense, and it really depends on if you have a veteran. If you have a veteran presence to let some of them sit, because I think there are a lot of not ready QBs out there. Like some of the most pro-ready prospects would probably be like a Kenny Pickett or a Carson Strong, but Carson Strong still has the knee thing and is already not mobile. Kenny Pickett, people worry about his small hands. It's not a great QB class. It's a lot of reaches. I would be fine with pretty much any of them in like the late second round. I would be pretty thrilled with any of them in the late second round if we picked up another, like, I don't know, like a Marcus Mariota or something in free agency. If we didn't have obviously we didn't have like an Aaron Rodgers, like if that didn't work out and we had to just kind of ride with it, that's where I would be going. And at that point you would just reach for like a Malik Willis, maybe just like swing for the fences, I guess.
Okay, so you're saying definitely a quarterback, just not in the first round.
Yeah, I wouldn't take any
at some point
in the first round. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that there's what team would take a flyer on a quarterback in the first at this point?
I mean, there's some.
I mean, you got to think Pittsburgh is Ben Roethlisberger. I'm assuming is going to retire. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he's making his final goodbyes on the last Heinz Field game. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming he's gone. But other than that, I mean,
maybe the Jets.
Tua's played well now. Tua's played well for Miami.
The Giants.
The Jets have Zach Wilson.
I think the Giants have really recanted the whole like
we're sticking with Daniel Jones. Yeah. Jake Fromm was not the answer. I like Jake Fromm, but no.
We'll see.
Negatron.
No. We'll see what happens with the Eagles. I think they're really coming behind.
I'm sorry, but they should not let Hurts go.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't.
The Saints, the Panthers.
Oh, Panthers, yeah. Panthers.
There you go.
Something to look at. I think my guess would be that probably either Kenny Pickett or maybe Matt Corral would go first.
Okay. The Seahawks, if Wilson leaves.
Raw.
You're right.
I would see them picking up a veteran.
The Lions,
they don't
have trust in Goff.
I think they would really just like build up on draft picks.
The Lions. And again, this isn't a Lions podcast, but if the Lions are smart, you stick with Jared Goff until the following season.
And I think
he's on a 2-year contract.
Who's going to be better than Goff at this point? That's a free agent or a rookie.
And I think Dan Campbell and Jared Goff would die in each other's arms right now. Like they absolutely love each other. So I don't think that's happening. So yeah, there's not like a ton. I think people will get there. I mean, there will be QBs that'll fall right to them. And the last time we haven't had a QB in the top 3 was like 2013, and that was the two quarterbacks picked were EJ Manuel and Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
So like it's one of those. I saw a comparison today that it's more of like a 2019 class where you have like Kyler Murray, who's kind of like the anomaly on top, and then after that you have like a Daniel Jones and like a Drew Lock, and like you just have kind of like a mess.
Yeah, those two guys flamed out faster.
So let's do a hypothetical. Let's say that Denver has gotten either Rodgers or Wilson. Who do you take in the draft? Maybe a late second, early third.
Are you talking quarterback or are you talking different position?
Anybody. Because I mean, if you're getting a Rodgers, you're getting a Wilson. You're not going to have a first round pick unless you trade back into the first. So you might have a second, but you're probably going to end up having a third. Don't we have 2 seconds?
Mm-hmm. I think so. From the
Von
Miller trade.
So that first second pick, who would you use that on?
I would say edge, a good right tackle,
linebacker, center, right tackle.
Offensive line for sure.
Yeah, because that right tackle position has been pretty much a turnstile for Denver over the last couple of years.
Yeah, but Massey's been pretty good. He's been pretty decent.
Massey's pretty good, but
yeah, no, I think it will be addressed for sure. I think offensive line is something that could be picked up. I think this is a very deep edge class, and we are not good at edge right now. We are not good at pass rush, so I think that is something that we need to look at.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't go there. I don't know what that is, but don't do that.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Don't go there.
Don't do that.
From that and go. I don't know what that is.
We talked about it on Tuesday that Malik Reed, it was just, he had a good last year, but so far this season, it hasn't been that great. So if you're going to pick up Bradley Chubb's option, as somebody earlier in the chat asked, then it would be great to pair him with, an up and coming rookie. And depending on who's running the defense next year, it'll be up to them to take that person and turn him into a star, kind of like what Dan Quinn did with Micah Parsons.
I also think cornerback is something that isn't talked about enough. Like cornerback is something that we really need to be looking at as well, because you have Bradley Roby, but he's been in and out like health wise. Bryce Callahan is going to be a free agent. We have to think about that if we're going to re-sign him, who has also been in and out health wise. Fuller is not going to stay around. Who else do you have? Bassey's gone. You have Ojemudia behind there, who it doesn't seem like we're using at all or going to be using much at all. So that's another position group you really have to start thinking about as well. Which there are quite a few cornerbacks too that are like.
Isn't Bradley Roby with the Saints?
Did I say Bradley Roby again?
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot say Ronald Darby. I swear to God, every time I try to say Ronald Darby, I say Bradley Roby.
I was about to check Broncos.
Close.
Did they let him go? Did he come back?
So crazy.
So let's say that we don't get either one and we have a first round pick. Me personally, I'm wanting Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. I am in love with him as a center, and I would love to upgrade Cushenberry.
Maybe. I just don't.
Because you look at our defense right now. We've got number one in points per game allowed. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we need to upgrade the defense as much as we need to upgrade the offensive line. I'd rather go center. Because I don't know exactly what we got in left guard, right guard. I know what we've got in left tackle, and let's say we keep Massey, who's held up well, I think, this year. Mm-hmm. You're looking at a weak spot at center, so I'd rather go. And again, he's a rookie, so Linderbaum, you never know. But I think he's the best center in the draft.
No, he is. Left guard is also
Reisner
looking great. Like straight up, like Reisner is not looking good, and so hopefully he can turn that around. But like offensive line is definitely something that you want to address as well. But there's also free agency for that. I think where you're going to get the most value in this class is edge. and cornerback and some offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few good tackles up top.
Yeah, but Bill, we saw what.
Bill, you done any draft analysis yet? Kind of got your feet under you on the draft? I haven't. All I know is Linderbaum.
Yeah.
No, that's all. I Google searched him to remember his name. I knew what his position was and where he played, but I couldn't remember his name. So I Google searched him so I can remember his name.
Wait till the Boggins mock draft come out.
Yeah, I know, right? We should do it. Well, I've been talking to some guys that maybe we should do like a fun mock draft segment with some guests coming in this off season, just to fill some time for sure. But I would, if we do have a first round pick, and if we are staying around where we're at currently, which is the 11th pick, like if we got David Ojabo, I would be extremely happy. He is that's a good move. Is just an athletic freak, and he's just very, very raw. But like what you watch of his tape, you're just like, man, the potential. If it clicks, if he can learn and keep growing like this, oh my gosh.
But do you think he'll be available at 11?
Yeah, I think I think he would be, because you have so many. You have so many edges at the top that between Hutchinson, Thibodeau, you also have Karlaftis, and then you have like Ojabo. I personally like the ceiling of Ojabo could be more than anybody in this class, but I think that he will fall a little bit because he is so raw. But
now, if we win these last two games, we won't be at 11.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what's so weird. Like, if you look at the Broncos right now, depending on win or losses in the last two games, they could go all the way up to 6 or all the way back to 18.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy. Like, normally you get like a 5-pick swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, not this time. It's huge.
That extra
6 to 18.
Is a
then I don't think you would, but like you never know, because like things happen during these, like the draft process. Like Ojulari was supposed to be a lot higher this last draft than he actually was. He was one of my favorite draft prospects at edge in the last draft, and because of his knee concerns, he fell to day 2, and the Giants picked him up, and it was just like great. Like and he's been phenomenal. So like it could you don't know, things happen, and he may fall down to us still at 18. You never know.
Yeah. Biggie Bronco says if we cannot trade for Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, this team is a few years out of being a Super Bowl contender. So draft the offensive lineman in the first and second round and run it back with Locke. Now, I'm with you except for the Locke thing. There comes a point in time where what you're seeing is what you're going to get. I mean, there might be some improvement, but not much. And I've been very critical of Locke earlier on this year. But when you look at second round picks historically in the NFL, Drew Lock has more starts than 75% of them. If you're wanting to treat Locke like a first round pick, then he needed to be a first round pick, but he's not. He's a second round pick.
And I don't want to hear in the comments, don't start bringing up Dak and Russ and Tom Brady and all that crap. Like, those are freak anomalies. Like, that's not every day that you're like, oh, you
diamonds in the rough
quarterback. Let's get a list of the amounts that didn't work out. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, if you looked at, let's say the second year that they started playing, Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, all these guys were guys that you could put the team on their back and they would carry the team to the playoffs. You cannot do that with Drew Lock.
No.
Because he's either you're going to get one of two Drew Locks. You're either going to get the one that throws a lot of interceptions, or you're going to get the one that plays way too safe, kind of like we saw in this last game. Now, again, I wasn't too upset with how he played, but he played a safer version of what he normally does, and at times it was too safe.
Yeah.
I think you said it right when you were talking about the draft pick, Ojabi. Is that his name? I say it right? Ojabo. He's got that potential, but you wonder if it's going to click. Drew Lock, we see the potential, but it hasn't clicked.
Yeah.
And
now, is that offensive coordinator? Is that the offensive coordinator?
Maybe. It could also be quarterback coach. And then, you try to compare it to Tannehill, but at the same time, Tannehill's a first round pick. Like he has that potential. And you could see it. And even when he was playing in Miami, he didn't play as well as he does now, but he was still playing better than Locke has so far. So I don't have a problem with Locke as a person. I don't have a problem with Drew Lock as a backup quarterback. But I'm not going to run it back with Drew Lock. I would rather go and trade for Minshew. I'd rather sign Marcus Mariota and let them take it while the rookie sits. That's what I'd rather do.
Okay, so let's say that Locke does come back. And Bridgewater doesn't. Now, is Locke going to be our starting quarterback? Obviously. So basically, we're going to have a repeat of this year. If going by the basis that
more than likely, yeah.
Probably they'll probably bring in another veteran.
Yeah.
And this is what I would say. Most of the time when you bring in a new head coach, even a new general manager, most of the time they want their own quarterback. So bringing in a new head coach, I don't think that there is any chance that Drew Lock is on this team next year, unless for some reason we don't get any sort of quarterback at all.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go anywhere until we get like QB. Like if we get once we sign an Aaron Rodgers, I think that Drew Lock will be gone. But I don't think he's going to go anywhere until that happens, just as like a fail safe and like an emergency pack. Like we still have someone back there, and then they will, and if like everything falls apart, then they will probably not draft another QB with Drew Lock on the roster. They'll probably bring in a vet and then wait till next year's draft, which has better QBs.
Yeah, I think at this point, the Drew Lock experiment is pretty much done. I mean, if he's going to be one of those quarterbacks that is a backup quarterback, and if he comes in and has to relieve a quarterback for a couple games, and all of a sudden he's going to be like a Matt Flynn, like blows it out of the water for a couple games, gets signed to a big contract from another team, and then it just goes back to normal Drew. That's why, and I said this last offseason, Drew Lock, meet Ryan Fitzpatrick, like same kind of quarterback. They're exactly the same. Other than the beard, they're exactly the same.
No, they're not. Nah. Stop it.
You can say whatever you want.
Way better quarterback than Drew Lock, and that's saying something.
Well, okay. So, style-wise, same quarterback.
No.
Stop it. You know I'm right.
No.
All right. So let's take a quick preview of this Chargers game. I don't want to dig too deep into it because we dig into it all the time, and I'm just tired of digging into games and then when we watch the game. So who do we got? We have 6 players on the COVID list? I know I just called them out. Now I forgot.
We got Bryce Callahan, Massey.
Tim Patrick,
Stearns,
Bobby Massey, Bryce Callahan, Stephen Weatherly. Who's Ford?
Mike Ford.
Mike Ford. And then Caden Stearns.
Yep.
So it looks like we're going to have –
And then
now we were told we're going to see some Seth
Harvey
Williams in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
We also know that Drew Lock is going to start this game against the Chargers. Teddy Bridgewater is still in concussion protocol. Cam Fleming looks like he's going to play for Bobby Massey.
Which is going to be a nightmare.
Kyle Fuller is going to play for Bryce Callahan. Yay. And then it's either going to be Aaron Patrick or Andre Mintz for Weatherly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming Patrick before Mintz.
So this just means that Joey Bosa is probably going to be lined up against Cam Fleming. Just
lovely. Now, I will say, Cam Fleming was not terrible when he filled in for was it Bowles or was he right side?
Matthew? No.
When Fleming came in. Okay, yeah. When he came in for Massey when he was out, he did not play bad.
I don't remember that.
You're right. He didn't play bad.
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Yeah, because it was Gold. It was Bowles on one side, and then Bowles went out, and then we had Anderson on one side, Fleming on the other.
Yeah, but Joey Bosa might still be out, Boggins, because he didn't play last week against the Texans due to COVID. So there's a lot of players that have to clear.
There's a lot of players, but because of that new rule where you only have to 5 days.
5 days.
That's why Mike Williams. They had initially ruled out Mike Williams, but now that's been redacted. And Mike Williams is activated to play.
Right.
So,
but any of the players that we just listed cannot do that because they were just put on there today.
Right. Today, yeah.
So they can't make the 5 day.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's been
plus they have to clear it.
And it wouldn't surprise me if there was more added onto that list.
Yep. It's gonna be a crapshoot.
Kendall hitting the quarterback. Woo! No. All right. So let's go with
my Saints buddy the other day. Texted me because they had Ian Book in there, and he's like, "Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing as you guys and Kendall Hinton." I'm like, "That's not the same."
No, not even close.
That's not the same thing. Ian Book's a quarterback.
No,
stop it.
Not even close.
No. All right, so let's go with score prediction and who's going to win the game.
What did I say on Tuesday? I said, that was before the COVID thing, so I'm going to change my score, and I'm going to say Broncos win a narrow one, 21-17.
Really? Going with the Broncos?
I always pick
Browns?
Denver.
Yeah.
Even when they play a team that's way better than us, I always pick Denver because I'm that optimistic.
I think I'm going to go Chargers 30-13. I don't think it's going to be good. I really don't. I think it's going to be really bad, and I think that it's going to Broncos are going to get overwhelmed pretty early, and then they're just going to be out of it.
They're just going to be picking on Kyle Fuller the whole game.
Yeah.
I say, well, my heart says Denver, obviously, obviously, but my head says Chargers only because they have more to play for. I think the intensity on their side,
That's true.
Then again, when you play loose and you have nothing really to lose, but again, I say the Chargers still have that sting of Houston in their mouth. That was a very, very lopsided game, and that was totally blindsided them. So I say the Chargers come out. They're at home. I would love to say Denver, but I have to say Chargers. I'll say it's 24-10.
Okay, so I think that there's going to be more added onto the COVID list. I think that, listen, Kenneth Booker, it's because I didn't look at the rules very, very well, and there's only 4 teams, okay? That's why. There just is.
We'll work on it next year, Booker.
We'll work on it next year. I just wanted to get it up and running. I think that there's going to be more players added onto the COVID list. I think that some of those are going to be on the defense. And I think that the offense already is not able to keep up with most teams. So I think it's going to end up being 27-7 Chargers, which hurts my heart. I at least didn't pick the Raiders. I will never do that.
Hey, I'm going to hold a broom next to my chair on Sunday and hope I'm right.
I hope you are right too. Absolutely.
Your sister said Chargers. Whoops, sorry. It's okay. 3 of us picked the Chargers too.
You misspelled Broncos.
Yeah, you misspelled Broncos. Let's see here. Dave Glassman says the Chargers running defense is pathetic. Unfortunately, our draft position will win this game. I'd agree with you, but the Raiders' run defense was terrible too, and we had like 16 yards. So
Pat Shurmur got to find a way to Shurmur. Again,
like 27-7. Denver being pissed by the Raiders sweep, win 24-21. I hope. I'm not very optimistic right now. I'm just not. All right, so that's going to about do it for us. We want to thank Bronco Bill for joining us. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
Now I know you have your own channel and your own show. Go ahead and let people know where that is if you want them to find you and subscribe and follow and watch.
It's on YouTube, and it's called Broncos Breakdown. You can look for myself. It comes up that way. So just search. I usually do the date as well. So my last one was yesterday, the 29th. So feel free to go there. Comment. I'll always answer comments gracefully and respectfully. So yeah, check it out and let me know what you guys think. Appreciate it.
Better than
and
we
Bronco
do.
Bill.
I'm
Bronco Bill is going to be joining us at MHRT next season for we got some changes to the schedule for next season. So Bronco Bill is going to be joining us. So we're excited about that. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, turn on notifications so you can catch all of our content when it is posted. Make sure you're also tuning into all of our other podcasts. Broncos Talk every Tuesday, 7654. The Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast on Friday. Now at 7654. And remember the pregame show, The Neighborhood, that airs before every Broncos game. Now, remember, we only have 2 more games left. So there's only 2 more neighborhoods left. Once we hit the offseason, there will be no neighborhood. So make sure you're tuning into those. You can also catch all the audio versions on all the major streaming services. All the links are in the description below. Now we're going to go ahead because Bronco Bill's never done it. So we're going to do the mile high five. So you spread your arms straight out to your side. We scream mile high five, and then we clap over our heads. Unless you're Boggins, he just does what he wants. Everybody ready?
Let's do it.
Yep.
Mile high five! Woo! Yeah, there we go.
All right. Now I feel part of the team.
There we go. All right. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you tomorrow for the Nothing Rhymes, and we will see you for the pregame show.
Nothing Rhymes with Neighborhood.
Nothing Rhymes with Neighborhood. That's what we're going to call it from now on.